Hello there everyone, and welcome to another edition of Lydia's Crafty Corner with me, Lydia, in my little crafty corner. So today I'm going to be sharing with you how to create a shaped card and also some shaped tags as well. I'm going to be using lots of different dies and a couple of different stamp sets to create this effect, and I really do hope that you like it. So to start with, I am going to be using some dies. So I'm going to be using the Mega S from the Mega Alphabet set, and I'm going to be using the S from this one. I'm also going to be using one of the dies from the Halftone Hearts nesting dies. I think this one is the second one down in the hearts, and I'm also going to be using the Party Banner die as well. So I'm going to start by cutting these out, and I'm going to cut these out once and then I'm going to cut them out again. So I'm just placing these onto a piece of white cardstock, and I'm just arranging these into place, adding a little bit of washi tape so they don't move around. And then once they're all in place, I'm then going to run this through my machine. Once I've run this through once, I'm then going to position all of the pieces back into place again and then cut them out a second time. So I then have two of each of the dies. It is at this point you could stick them together to create the cards, but I wanted to do a little bit of stamping on the front of them, so I'm just going to move the back pieces to the side and then I'm going to do some stamping. So I've just popped the gradient stripe stamp set onto place on one side of the MISTI, and then I'm going to pop this die into place. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue tape behind it so it doesn't move, and I'm then going to ink up the stamp set using the Silverstone ink. So I'm just making sure that it's nicely covered, and I'm then going to stamp it onto the die cut that we've just done with the banner. So once I've popped this down, I'm going to give it a good old squidge down because I want to make sure that it is all stamped really well, and then I can remove this. It does stick a little bit to the glue, but we'll be able to remove that on later on. So once that one is done, I'm then going to add in my next one. So I'm just going to take the heart, I'm going to pop that into place. Again, I'm just popping it onto where the glue is so it doesn't move around. Make sure it's nicely stuck down, and then I'm going to ink up again in the Silverstone ink. So I'm just going to ink where I think the die is going to be, the die cut. You don't need to ink up the whole stamp if you don't want to. Just make sure that you've got the ink where you need it to be, just to make sure it does cover that heart. Once that one is done, again, I'm going to just remove the lid, make sure it's all nicely stamped, gently remove the die cut from there, and then pop in the S. So you could use any letter or any die or anything that you wanted to. Just as long as you've cut two of them, you're going to be able to create your very own shaped cards and tags in this way. So again, I'm going to ink up the gradient stripe stamp, make sure it's nicely covered, and then I'm going to stamp that onto my S, and then all of my stamping on the background has then been done. So once it's all nicely done, I'm just going to remove the top and then gently remove the S. To remove the adhesive from behind the letters, I'm just going to take a sand rubber and I'm just going to rub it off. You could use a normal eraser, but I do find that the sand one removes it really, really quickly. I'm then going to add a fold line into my back pieces. So these are the ones that I haven't stamped. So I'm just going to add it around about 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch down from the top. And this is going to act as a kind of hinge for our shaped cards and tags. So I've just added a score line in, and I'm just going to score it nicely so it folds really, really well. So again, I am doing it about 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch down. You could add a larger hinge if you wanted to, but I find that this works really well. I'm then going to add a little bit of glue above where we've done the score line, and that is where our card is going to be stuck together, and it's where it's going to hinge from. So once I've done those ones, I'm just going to keep moving along until I have all of my cards and my tags complete. I do use a wet glue for this, as I find that it works really, really well, and it secures the pieces together really good as well. So once we have them all in place, they may need a little time to dry, but it doesn't, not too long. They do dry pretty quickly, and as you can see, when I open that up, it's nicely stuck together, and I do have a beautiful hinge there, and the card stands up. These tags won't stand up so much, but as they're supposed to be tags, I'm not going to worry too much about that. I'm then going to take the flower arrangement stamp set, and I'm going to do some stamping to create my embellishments for my cards and tags. So for this base layer on the orange flowers, I'm going to be using the Sunkissed. I've just arranged them onto a little panel. I'm just going to turn that around and then add them in again. So I have 6 of the flowers in the orange. And then for the blue, I am going to be using the sea glass. I'm going to do it exactly the same as before. I'm just going to stamp it once, turn my panel around, and then stamp them again. So I do have 6 in this one as well. I don't end up using all the flowers, but I do have them for later projects. And for the pink, I am going to be using the beautiful Frosty pink. So I'm going to ink that up, stamp that down. Again, I'm going to turn my panel around so I can then do the other ones as well, again in Frosty pink. Once I've done all of the base layers, I'm then going to add in the second layers on top. Just make sure that they're nicely in place. Shut the lid on my Misty, and I'm now good to go with these as well. So for the second layers on the pink ones, I'm going to be using the Coral Berry. And for the second layers on the orange flower, I'm going to be using some orange cream. So I do stamp it once, then twist it around and stamp them again, so I have the 6 flowers. For the second layer on the blues, I'm using the beautiful Ocean Waves, so that's that done. Then once I've done the second layer, again, I've popped the third layer in position onto all of the stamps that we've just done, and then I'm going to ink them up with the third layer. And for the blue ones, I've used Dusk. For the third layer on the orange ones, I'm using the Autumn Blaze. And then for the third layer on the pink flowers, I'm going to be using the Ruby Red. So once I stamped all of the flowers, I then added the centers in using some honey drizzle, and I'd done the leaves as well using some frayed leaf and forest glades. Once I have all of my pieces stamped, I'm then going to use the coordinating dies to cut out all of these images. It does take a little while, but I do find having the coordinating dies for this does really help with time management. But if you would like to fussy cut them out, there's nothing stopping you doing that, and it really is quite therapeutic. So I'm just going to run these all through until I have everything cut out, all of my flowers and all of the leaves as well. So once I have all of my pieces, you can see how beautiful they look. I'm just going to add these into place on of my tags and my card. So I'm using some foam tape behind the flowers to pop them up, but a little bit of glue or glue tape behind the leaves to make sure that they're a little bit flatter, and I think that gives it a little bit more of a dimension this way. So you have some things that are more in the forefront, some things that are tucked behind, and I do think that this makes it look very pretty. So once I've completed the tags, I'm then going to move on to the card. I do end up using a lot more flowers on the card as it's such a much bigger area. So again, I've added some foam tape behind the flowers and glue tape behind the leaves to give me dimension. And then for the sentiment, I've just used a pretty sentiment from the Circle Sentiments stamp set. And again, I've added a little bit of foam tape behind these. To create these into tags, I've just added a little bit of a hole punch and then a little bit of twine just so I can tie these on to presents or anything I want to. So as you can see, they do open up really well, so you can add your message inside. You could have added a sentiment onto this tag if you wanted to, but I don't believe it needs it. And you can make these to coordinate with all your gift wrap if you wanted to, so you can have all the colours all nicely together and then create a card that's exactly the same, and it'll make it look really pretty. So there are the projects complete. I really do hope that you've enjoyed the video and that you do give this technique a go. Again, you can use it with all of the dies that you do have in your stash, so the possibilities are really endless. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you do want to watch any more videos, there's a couple more here that you can watch. And if you don't want to miss out on anything that we do upload to the channel, it would be great if you do subscribe. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again really soon. Bye-bye.